Hello ladies and gentlemen, Wooly here. Been a while since we've had a checkup on the whole botting situation in Classic, isn't it? So let's give it another pass today. First of all, I'll say that I'm still working on leveling all of my classes towards 60. I'm getting really close actually, only Warrior and Priest left to go. So that means I'm out and about in the open world quite a lot since I don't boost for levels, and I haven't seen as many bots out in the open world or just generally suspicious accounts as I had in the past, nowhere near the same volume actually. And this is leveling on a very high population Alliance PvE server. And don't worry, there are definitely still plenty of bots about in other places, especially in a very new notable one, which we'll get into in a moment. It's also worth a mention that despite the complete server locks being removed some time ago, there are still transfer restrictions on all servers that were locked for a period of time, it appears. I did go over and check a few servers that I knew were locked in the past, and I still got the same error message about being unable to transfer at this point in time. This is actually going to matter quite a bit as for which server people will choose to bot on, because if you don't already have a network of boosters to get your new bots up to speed, or they were banned some time ago, then you'll be starting again from square one, no characters on the server, no gold at all, and that's going to make your life very difficult. And from what I've seen, the amount of bots on servers which are still locked for transfers has fallen off dramatically. As for the open servers though, it appears they are still in the process of getting hit by a brand new wave of bots. Hopefully there may be some new consideration for these locks being re-evaluated once most servers have the gates to AQ open, especially in the scenarios of faction dominated servers where you cannot transfer, and well, not too many people are going to be opting into leveling on a server where their faction population is far lower than the other as a brand new place to be. So what's started to take off though is a totally new form of bot that's become more and more noticeable over the past few months. These are rogues in Black Rock Depths, and looking on a few high population unlocked servers here, you can see literally dozens of rogues stacked up, all farming away. And this does sort of look familiar to all those bots we're so used to seeing in Strat. And yes, this is of course down to assumption to some degree. Being a rogue without a guild, BRD, doesn't make you a bot automatically, but well, trends like this kinda tend to speak for themselves. You don't just see this many of the same class with auto-generated looking names in the same dungeon without raising an eyebrow. So what are they all doing? I'd have to assume they are pickpocketing mobs inside of the instance. Looking at a few guides over the internet, it seems to be anywhere from about 30 to 60 gold per hour. We'll assume that the bots are on the lower end of that efficiency and are probably making around 30 to 40 gold per hour. I have a rogue, this is one of the reasons I like having every class at a high level. I can pop over there and test exactly how it works for myself. Unlike Strat though, there isn't sort of a big drop here like the righteous orbs or greens or rares from the mobs. It's more or less all raw gold, which in of itself makes it more harmful than Strat, because more gold entering the economy will only ever push the price of items up as it becomes more available, instead of driving the value of an item that they are farming down as it becomes more and more common. Once again, see the likes of righteous orbs or major mana potions before the massive ban wave we had a few months ago. And BRD literally has hundreds of humanoid mobs inside to pickpocket, the most common drops being raw silver, grey items, the occasional superior healing potions, and heavy junk boxes, which themselves contain more greys, potions, and rogue poison materials. So that doesn't seem overly too lucrative, right? But wait, quite an important bit of information is missing here. You don't have to reset the instance in order to pickpocket again. When I was testing this, I was doing a quick run of the area above the Ring of Law, and it took about 2 minutes for me to do a full circuit of the area, after which I set an in-game timer to see how long it took before I could pickpocket again. After about 5 minutes had passed, the mobs had very kindly put new items for me to take in their pockets, though I still think I went a bit early as a few was still on cooldown. I believe if you waited 8 minutes each circuit, this shouldn't be a problem. I'm sure if you're a rogue making gold since phase 1, this is probably common knowledge to you already, but it seems just as of recently that this has been turned into the new big way to generate gold for those automating characters. It's essentially an infinitely respawning method of making gold inside an instance. If how Landslide was dealt with is anything to go by, well then, I've got a pretty good idea of what's going to be happening to this sometime soon. Blizzard tend not to like infinite respawns, especially when it's a way to make gold on a PvP server where it's impossible to interact with the player because they are inside an instance. The funny thing is, even if you did make it require resets to make pickpocketing available again, I don't think it would affect too much since the bots are probably AFKing a bunch anyway just to pick the easiest targets. I imagine a reset timer could be fairly easily worked into doing this routing. To top it off, the vast majority of what they're making in here is all raw gold, which let me tell you will all be real money traded, only driving the price of goods up artificially, and I have been aware of this for a little while now at least. Hopefully Blizzard has too. Let's see these guys get caught in the next ban wave sooner rather than later. Speaking of ban waves, are Blizzard keeping up with the pace of bots repopulating and flooding the market with items again? Wouldn't be a botting vid if we didn't have a little check in strats, and oh yeah, they're back. They're back big time. Here is a check of some unlocked servers versus some locked ones, and there is nearly the /who cap on some servers for the sheer amount of bots rammed into strat farming orbs. In fact, I can get a righteous orb for about 15G on an unlocked server, Highwood Village. Over on Gehenna's, which is locked for transfers, they are around triple the price, or at least over 40 gold. Quite a difference. This is the interesting thing about the strat farm though, it's so easy to notice just from market values. In fact, the situation over on Nexus Hub shows an even worse position than we were in before the massive ban wave a few months ago. Well, for NA, at least it does. Looks like botters are back stronger than ever since about the start of August. Hopefully we will see some new action from Blizzard pretty soon. As for the current price of orbs, well, add stock up for weapons you plan to get in the future, let's just put it that way, if you're on an unlocked server, that is of course. That's the whole thing about bots though, that it's generally done in ban waves when the bans do come. All the same, it's looking about time for that to happen sooner rather than later. In fact, the price of items has generally been quite stable since Blizzard started communicating about bans. And I know there's been some servers where Black Lotus are way up again, as there are either mafias or gold farmers locking them down with hunter ults using Eagle Eye to scout the spawns, but this does appear to be on a minority of servers, as Black Lotus have remained quite stable ever since a few weeks after the spawn rate change. It was even pretty interesting to see that they actually kept going down gradually, at least for me, around the time of AQ opening. I guess it's just more or less everybody who wants to Flask has them saved up for a very long time now, and let me know how Black Lotus and Flask are still looking for you on your server. I wouldn't go too overboard with anything Lotus related if this is anything to go by, now that we've seen the difficulty level of AQ. If Naxxramas ends up being anything similar, I think we're going to see a big drop off in Flasks, apart from Titans, after the opening weeks of the final raid of Classic, and I'll talk about this more in a later video when I do some kind of phase 6 preparation, but that won't be for a while though. In any event, I do think that something has to be changed up with the pickpocketing and BRD. It is an infinite instance farm after all, whether it's per lockout or Blizzard comes up with something else, or you know, just bans the bots in there, that would be cool too, I suppose. Judging from the massive uptake in activity for Righteous Orbs too, I would expect that the next wave should come crashing down fairly soon. How are things looking on your realm at the moment? Hit me up below. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one very soon. If you like what you see, do give the video a like and subscribe, as there will be plenty more to come. Take care guys, and I'll see you in the next one very soon.